first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how.
Good evening, American patriots, and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had a mere pleasure to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. I've been telling you that this administration is slowly involving our military in combat operations all over Southwest Asia. Even though Biden and Harris continue to outright lie and say U.S. troops under their watch for the past 3.5 years have not been deployed into any combat zones. We know that's bullshit. We know the massive buildup that this administration has done with our military forces in the Middle East. We know we have Army and Marines involved in combat operations in Iraq, Navy SEALs in the Persian Gulf, along with special operations and conventional forces in Africa and Syria, to name a few. Well, now it's public knowledge that the U.S. carried out a round of strikes in Yemen against the Iran-backed Houthis yesterday evening, according to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, targeting 5 underground weapons storage facilities using our Air Force B-2 stealth bombers. The facilities house advanced conventional weapons used to target military and civilian vessels in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. 3 U.S. defense officials told CNN following the attack. Those weapons are being used to shoot at our many naval ships in the Middle East, and the ships are shooting back. This was a unique demonstration of the United States' ability to target facilities that our adversaries seek to keep out of reach, no matter how deeply buried underground, hardened, or fortified, Austin said in a statement that was released yesterday. The employment of the U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit long-range stealth bombers demonstrates U.S. global strike capabilities to take action against these targets when necessary, anytime, anywhere. It marked the first time the U.S. has used a strategic stealth bomber to attack the Houthis in Yemen since the beginning of the U.S. campaign. The B-2 is a much larger platform than the fighter jets that have been used so far to target these terrorist facilities and weapons, capable of carrying a far heavier load of bombs. Austin said he authorized the strikes at the direction of President Joe Biden in order to furtherly degrade the Houthis' abilities after more than a year of attacks by the militia group on U.S. and international vessels in the region. The facilities attacked were holding various weapons components of weapons used to target vessels in the Middle East, the defense secretary said. We will continue to make clear that the Houthis that there will be consequences for their illegal and reckless attacks, he said. But yet, there's no consequences for the country that's supplying them with the weapons to attack U.S. forces or Israel. That country would be Iran. The nighttime airstrikes hit Yemen's capital city on Thursday local time, according to the Houthi-run Al-Marshia TV report. America will pay the price for its aggression on Yemen. And as we have said before, its aggression will not deter Yemen from its stance in support of Gaza, the deputy head of the media office for the Houthis said on X, formerly Twitter. The Houthis have for months targeted American ships and other coalition ships in the Red Sea, one of the world's busiest waterways, calling the attacks a response to Israel's war in Gaza against Hamas. Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis are all part of an Iranian alliance spanning Yemen, Syria, Gaza, and Iraq that has attacked Israel and its allies since the war began. They say they won't stop striking Israel and its allies until a ceasefire is reached in the Palestinian enclave. The attack of the Houthis comes at a time of great tension in the region. Israel is expected to retaliate for Iran's recent missile barrage before the November 5th U.S. election. And its conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza are ongoing. Wednesday's strike, early Thursday morning, local time, is the latest in a saga of back and forth attacks by the Houthis and the U.S., as the Houthis have been carrying out constant attacks on commercial shipping and Navy assets in the region for months now. It also comes as U.S. service members have begun arriving in Israel after the U.S. announced the deployment of the advanced anti-missile system to help protect Israelis from Iran's missile barrage. While the U.S. has in the past carried out strikes against the Houthis in partnership with the UK, Wednesday's strike was carried out by the U.S. Air Force alone. According to the U.S. Central Command, both U.S. Air Force and Navy assets were involved in this operation. Over the past year, the U.S. has repeatedly struck or intercepted Houthi drones and missiles in an effort to protect ships and degrade their arsenal. In September, the Houthis claimed to have launched approximately 24 ballistic and cruise missiles and drones against U.S. destroyers. Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said at no time that any of the cruise missiles or drones hit a U.S. ship. I can confirm that no U.S. ships were damaged or hit. There was no injuries to U.S. personnel on those ships. We did see a complex attack launched by the Houthis that ranged from cruise missiles and UAVs. And they got them from where? Iran. Just earlier this month, the U.S. struck 15 Houthi targets in Yemen, including offensive military capabilities, CITCOM said. In September, the Houthis fired a missile deep inside Israel, though Israel's military assessed that it most likely fragmented in midair and fell into an open area in the country. Thank God. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, said in September that the Houthis would pay a heavy price for the attack. Just days later, the Israel Defense Force said it targeted power plants and a seaport in airstrikes against the Houthis. The Houthis have since launched more attacks against Israel, saying they launched drones on October 1st in support of Hezbollah. And they fired 2 missiles and multiple drones in the country on October 7th. The Israel military said on the latter attack, Israel had intercepted a surface-to-air missile fired from Yemen towards Israel. The Houthis' constant attacks on commercial shipping have killed multiple mariners and resulted in more environmental issues. In August, an attack on a Greek flag vessel left it on fire and leaking oil all into the sea. The Pentagon warned at the time that a potential environmental catastrophe is unfolding. The U.S. has significant firepower in the region, and in a sense, Hamas' invasion of Israel last October, and they continue to build more and more people, personnel, and equipment. CNN reported this month that the thousands of U.S. forces included a carrier strike group, several additional guided missile destroyers, an amphibious ready group, along with a Marine expeditionary unit, and a broad range of aircraft, including fighter and attack aircraft, as well as B-52s, B-1s, and B-2 stealth bombers. Now, I'm going to say it once again. The only way you bring peace to the Middle East is by eliminating Iran's military compounds, nuclear facilities, their naval forces, their air forces, and their command and control facilities. We have in the region the capability to, at any given moment, annihilate every single military source in that country of Iran that's responsible for the deaths of many American service members in Iraq as well as in Afghanistan, and the death of many Israeli citizens and Israeli defense forces. Iran is the one behind this. Iran has the money to give to these terrorist organizations to continue doing this. Why? Because the Biden-Harris administration gave them billions of dollars that they thought was going to go to peaceful things such as aid for their citizens. Yet it went to their military and then to terrorist organizations. Until we have someone in power that has the balls to take on those that are responsible for this, it's never going to stop. Cut the snake off at the head and end this once and for all, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Take out Iran's capability of supplying any more weapons to these terrorist organizations. Then they will run out of weapons and this thing will soon be over with. But no, you won't do that because you're weak. You have no backbone. And you're pathetic, un-American, and God help us if Kamala Harris takes over 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue on November 5th. You all have heard, and I've reported on this several times, the left, the Democrats, CNN, MSNBC, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, telling everyone who will listen that under the Biden-Harris administration, crime in America has dropped. Even after it was reported that the data that they were getting this information from, the FBI, was flawed, but they continue to this very day to spew that no merit talking point. Well, now the FBI recently revised what we've been saying was flawed, its national violent crime statistics of 2022, quietly revealing that violent crime actually increased 4.5% instead of the initial reported 2.1% decrease. Real Clear Investigations reported that the FBI Uniform Crime Report initially indicated that the United States experienced a 2.1 decrease in violent crime from 2021 to 2022. However, the recent change shows that violent crime actually increased by 4.5 from 2021 to 2022. Yet, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, their campaigns continue to put out this fake information of how crime went down in America. No, the FBI admitted they put out the wrong data. They did not put out the correct data. And now they went in and corrected it. So when are y'all going to correct this no merit statements that you continue to push? The FBI's quiet revision of the 22 violent crime statistics comes shortly after the FBI announced that the 2023 Uniform Crime Report showed a 3% decrease in violent crime. Carl Moody, a professor at the College of William and Mary, told Real Clear Investigators, "I have checked the data on total violent crime from 2004 to 2022. There were no revisions from 2004 to 2015. And from 2016 to 2020, there were small changes of less than 1 percentage point. The huge change in 2021 and 2022, especially without an explanation, makes it difficult to trust any FBI data. Moody told Real Clear investigators it was disappointing that there were no news articles published in order to correct the misinformation the media circulated regarding the initial violent crime statistics of 2022. Moody also questioned whether the FBI would have a similar version of the 2023 violent crime statistics. According to Real Clear investigations, the updated violent crime numbers show that there were 80,029 more violent crimes in 2022 than in 2021, including an additional 37,091 aggravated assaults, 33,459 robberies, 7,780 rapes, and 1,699 murders. Real Clear investigations noted that the revised violent crime statistics were discovered due to a statement on the FBI's website, which says the 2022 violent crime rate has been updated for inclusion in CIUS 2023. However, the outlet explained that the FBI does not mention the increase in violent crimes and that the change can only be seen by downloading the data from 2021 to 2022 and comparing the two files. Jeffrey Anderson, who led the Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Statistics from 2017 to 2021, told Real Clear investigators, "We definitely would have highlighted it in a press release or a report, the 6.6% change recorded from 2022, which moved the numbers from a drop to a rise in all violent crimes." David Mustard, who researches crime and is a professor at the University of Georgia, described the FBI's report as stunning, since the agency did not publicly report that violent crime was much higher than it had previously reported, and did not explain why the percentage of violent crimes was much higher, Mustard added. The lack of transparency harms the FBI's credibility. And right now, Harris is out on the campaign trail telling all these fucking sheep how wonderful crime rate is in America under her and Joe Biden's administration. And it's all an outright lie based on a flawed FBI report that they have now since corrected, but not this campaign talking to their sheep. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer revealed his committee's oversight work of the Biden-Harris administration, saying, quote, "Americans cannot afford another term of incompetence. Vice President Kamala Harris has been an active participant in the worst administration in U.S. history that has inflicted untold harm on the American people," end quote. Comer complied a 72-page report with the committee's 118th Congress accomplishments, highlighting the committee's work, including its investigation into the Biden family's domestic and international business dealings, oversight of the Biden-Harris administration's border crisis, as well as probing the fraud and abuse related to COVID, unemployment relief benefits, and the infiltration of the Chinese Communist Party in the United States. Republicans on the House Oversight and Accountability Committee are committed to achieving what Democrats have neglected: rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse within the federal government and holding the Biden-Harris administration accountable, he said. "We have succeeded. Through oversight and investigations have revealed rampant waste, fraud, and abuse and mismanagement in the Biden-Harris administration, and we provided the transparency and accountability the American people demand," Comer said. The report included the committee's latest Secret Service oversight following the attempted assassinations of former President Trump at his Butler, Pennsylvania rally in July. Then Secret Service Director Kimberly Castell resigned the day after she publicly testified before the committee. Americans cannot afford another 4 years of the same failed policies and incompetence, Comer said. Vice President Kamala Harris has been an active participant in the worst administration in U.S. history, has inflicted so much untold harm on American people. We must return to pro-growth, America's first priorities and policies to restore prosperity, liberty, and security for the American people. During the 118th Congress, the House Oversight Committee held 135 hearings, sent more than 600 investigative letters, including 51 subpoenas, heard testimony from 112 government witnesses, and saw 23 bills passed in the House, with 3 signed into law. The committee investigating the Biden family's business dealings, finding that from 2014 to present, Biden family members and their associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals or entities. The committee claimed that the family set up shell companies to conceal the payments from scrutiny. And of course, the White House ripped the investigation as an evidence-free, political motivated probe. Comer also led the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Comer's Oversight Committee led the inquiry after its month-long investigation of the Biden family business dealings, alongside the House Judiciary Committee and House Ways and Means Committee. The committees concluded that Biden engaged in impeachable conduct, abused his office, and defrauded the United States to enrich his family. We also exposed Joe Biden's corruption at the highest levels of government as he actively participated in his family's influence peddling racketing that made the Bidens millions of dollars from Chinese, Russian, and other foreign entities. From those investigations, Comer's Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan and Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith sent criminal referrals to the Justice Department recommending Hunter Biden and James Biden be charged with making false statements to Congress about key aspects of the impeachment inquiry. The White House discontinued the committee's investigations, calling the impeachment inquiry a failed stunt, and will only be remembered for how it became an embarrassment that their own members distanced themselves from, as they only managed to turn up evidence that were false and baseless and conspiracy theories, the White House says. Following the investigation, Comer introduced the Bipartisan Presidential Ethics Reform Act, a bill requiring presidents and vice presidents to disclose conflicts of interest while in office and disclose foreign payments, expensive gifts, loan transfer transactions, and tax returns during the 2-year period prior to taking office, time in office, and for 2 years after leaving office. That bill also requires presidents and vice presidents to make disclosures for immediate family members who receive foreign payments and other gifts, or who use official travel for personal business. Regarding its oversight of the Biden-Harris administration border crisis, Comer said the committee found that they have more than 8 million illegal immigrants encounters entered the country and over 1.9 million gotaways, illegal immigrants who avoid agents who were detected by other forms of surveillance since they took office. As for China, Comer sent letters to 25 federal agents to investigate whether officials were aware that the Chinese Communist Party outreach to the American public. The committee held briefings with 23 federal agencies, revealing there is no cohesive government-wide strategy to identify, deter, and defeat Chinese Communist Party political warfare. The committee also found that American taxpayers lost more than $100 billion to fraud and improper payments as a result of temporary unemployment insurance programs created in response to COVID-19. The committee also investigated Biden-Harris administration's officials implementing racial environmental agenda. The Comer says is jeopardizing jobs, energy security, and national security. Meanwhile, after the July 13th assassination attempt against Trump, Comer launched an oversight investigation into the U.S. Secret Service, acting quickly to investigate the historic failure and prevent a similar incident from happening again in the future. Comer held an immediate hearing with Chantel, who testified publicly about the outrageous security lapses and led to the assassination attempt of Trump and the murder of innocent attendees at his rally. Chantilly resigned the following day. Most recently, Comer launched an investigation into Harris' running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, for his alleged connections to the Chinese Communist Party. Comer said the committee's effective, targeted oversight has led to transparency, accountability, and solutions for the American people. But you know what it didn't lead to, sir? It didn't lead to a single son of a bitch in this current administration being held accountable for their corrupt actions. No one, not a single one of them, were held accountable. This Department of Justice, doesn't matter what you send to them, they work for Biden-Harris. And they were never going to take this further. It was never going to be seen by a grand jury. There would never be indictments of Joe Biden or Harris or anyone in this administration. Yes, you uncovered and you showed those that care how corrupt the Biden family is and how corrupt this current administration is. But because you didn't have the Senate too, there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And even if you did have the Senate, the Department of Justice is laughing at you. Because besides proving what we already knew, that they're all corrupt up there, it's going nowhere. It was never going anywhere. Now, we have the chance coming up real soon to hold the House, take back the Senate, and 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And then we can put our own people in charge of the Department of Justice and the FBI. And then they can go out and take care of everything that you guys in the House have exposed. Will they? That's a great question. Did they do it the last time Donald Trump was president? Nope. What did you hear throughout the entire campaign leading up to the 2016 election? At every rally Donald Trump held, what was chanted by hundreds of thousands of people, to include Trump himself standing on stage chanting it with the people? Lock her up. When I become president, we will make Hillary Clinton stand trial for her criminal conduct. And what did Donald Trump do the minute he took office? He gave her a pass. And, make matters worse, he didn't clean house and get rid of all the holdovers. He kept everybody in place. And they turned around and they fucked him. For his entire 4 years, that's all they did was tie him up in lawsuits and impeachment on shit that they're guilty of. So, the left and the Democrats are all up in arms right now that Donald Trump says he's going to turn around and he's going to go after all of his enemies. You damn right he says he's going to, and I hope he does. Because you're all guilty. We've seen it with our own eyes. We've heard it with our own ears. We've read the documentations. And we know how all the felonies that were committed by these people. These Democrats are some evil bastards. And they managed in 3.5 years to literally make the Department of Justice and the FBI work for them verbatim and no one else. We watched for 3.5 years a two-tier justice system on Hunter Biden crack, and it continues to get worse. And we still have some time to go, so I'm sure it can get even worse than it already is. Just how deep is the Washington, D.C. swamp? Here are some alleged facts. Go ahead and fact check these as I give them to you, because you must know to be informed. Yes, the governor of Michigan used to work for George Soros. Yes, California Governor Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Yes, Adam Schiff's sister is married to one of George Soros' sons. Yes, John Kerry's daughter is married to a mullah's son in Iran. Yes, Hillary's daughter Chelsea is married to George Soros' nephew. Yes, ABC News executive producer Ian Cameron is married to Susan Rice, Obama's former national security advisor. Yes, CBS President David Rhodes is the brother of Ben Rhodes, Obama's deputy national security advisor for strategic communications. Yes, ABC News correspondent Claire Shipman is married to Jay Carney, former Obama White House press secretary. Yes, ABC News and Univision reporter Matthew Jaffe is married to Katie Hogan, Obama's former deputy press secretary. Yes, ABC President Ben Sherwood is the brother of Elizabeth Sherwood, Obama's former special advisor. Yes, CNN VP Virginia Mosley is married to Tom Needs, former Hillary Clinton's deputy secretary. This is what you call a stacked deck. If you had a hunch the news media was somewhat rigged and you couldn't put your finger on it, this might help you solve the puzzle. Now you know why no one is investigated. They all have their hand in the cookie jar. You might remember James Comey, who investigated the Clinton email scandal in the Clinton Foundation and made the final decision to not recommend prosecution by the Department of Justice. Turns out that the Clinton Foundation was audited by the lawyer firm DLA Piper. One of the executives there was in charge of the Clinton Foundation audit. Who was it? Peter Comey, James Comey's brother. Peter Comey held an executive position with the Washington law firm that did the audit of the Clinton Foundation back in 2015. Peter Comey was officially DLA Piper's senior director of real estate operations for the Americans. In 2015, when the Clinton Foundation scandal first broke and Hillary was preparing her presidential campaign, not only was DLA Piper, the firm where Comey's brother worked, involved in the audit of the Clinton Foundation, but according to the foundation donor records, DLA Piper was given between $50,000 and $100,000 to the foundation. Let's get even cozier. DLA Piper executive Douglas Emhoff is taking extended leave of absence from the firm. Who is Douglas Emhoff? Name sound familiar to anybody? He's the husband of Kamala Harris. Just a coincidence? Amazing, isn't it? You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. And it only gets worse. This family tree will make your head spin. The swamp is deep. Dominion, voting machine provider, serves 40% of the U.S. market. It is in 30 states. The state of Texas rejected the machines. Admiral Peter Nivenger is on Biden's transition team. Nivenger was the president of the board of Smartmatic. Smartmatic, another voting machine supplier, entered into an agreement with Dominion in 2009. Smartmatic counts votes in Venezuela. Smartmatic is connected to Filipino voter fraud. Smartmatic is run by Lord Mark Modoc Brown, who works for George Soros. He and Brown are lifelong friends. Are you following me? Brown chairs the board of a number of nonprofit boards, including the Open Society Foundation. Brown chairs the Center for Global Development. Open Society, of course, is owned by George Soros. Smartmatic partner with DLA Piper Global. Douglas C. Emhoff works at DLA Piper Global. Douglas C. Emhoff is Kamala Harris's husband, as I've already told you. And guess who owns Dominion? Blum Capital Partners, LP. Guess who's on the board of that company? Richard Blum. Richard C. Blum is Dianne Feinstein's husband. Nancy Pelosi's husband is also a major investor. An aide to Nancy Pelosi, Nadim Islam, was hired by Dominion Voting Systems, and it goes on. Dominion Voting Systems is listed on the Clinton Foundation website. Dominion Voting is listed as a $25,000 to $50,000 donor to guess who? The Clinton Foundation in 2014. And that's according to the Washington Post. Georgia Governor Kemp used Dominion Voting after Texas and Florida rejected them. Dominion has a lobbyist named Jared Thomas. Jared Thomas was Governor Brian Kemp's chief of staff and press secretary from 2012 to 2015. You must remember the Feinstein, Kavanaugh, Soros connection to understand this next information. Deborah Katz, Christine Ford's lawyer, worked for George Soros and an Open Society Foundation. Deborah Katz, Christine Ford's lawyer, also worked at Project on Government Oversight, PROGO. PROGO is funded by George Soros' Open Society Foundation. PROGO is the co-signer of the letter Dianne Feinstein presented against Kavanaugh's nomination. Kamala Harris did not prosecute One West Bank for their fraud when she had the authority. Soros owned One West Bank. Now you know why a woman who placed 7th in her own state when running for president is now vice president and running to replace Sleepy Joe. Oh, what a tangled web of deceit and lies we're surrounded with. That swamp, my friends, is absolutely out of freaking control. And the only way people will ever be held accountable is if Donald Trump gets back into that office and this time says, I'm not giving anybody a pass. And this time puts somebody at the Department of Justice head that has a backbone and a set of fucking balls and does the same thing at the FBI. Because until we stand up to these evil bastards, this shit will never stop. It's bad enough what's happening all over the globe from this current administration. Everything that's happening that's bad on planet Earth right now, you can blame this administration for it. And then you look inside our own country. Hell, if you watched, for instance, yesterday's Fox News Brett Barr interview with Kamala Harris, then you saw what I did and everybody else did. And that's that she could not answer a single question without saying it's Donald Trump's fault or without saying that Donald Trump is the threat. I will give Brett Barr some kudos for asking some questions that should have been asked of her. But he was given limited time. They tried to ice him like you would ice a kicker for a field goal in the NFL or in college, and waited to the last possible second for her to walk in to do that interview. And then they only gave him 20 minutes. And he had, according to him, 180 questions, was only able to ask a few. And if you haven't watched it, watch it. She is very, very combative, very angry at how it went. And she made an utter fool of herself and exposed what we all know, We just need those on the left to see it. She has no plan. Her plan is what's been implemented for the past 3.5 years. When you have no plan that works, you want to keep doing what's been happening for 3.5 years for another 4 years. It's already a failure. You can't run on your plan. You can't run on the last 3.5 years because it's been a failure. So what can you do? You can only blame Donald Trump for everything. You can throw his name into every single answer. You can talk about shit that has nothing to do with the question that was asked of you. How people don't see this fraud for what it is, I don't know. All I can tell you is that I care about our Constitution. I care about the health of our nation. I care about our police officers, our military, our veterans, our elderly, our special needs. I care about our economy. I care about entrepreneurship. I care about our southern border. I care about all the drugs and the sex trafficking and the MS-13 and other gang members that have come into our country. I want to see all this repaired. The whole Make America Great Again. But yet, there's this percentage, big percentage, like damn near half the nation, that's brain dead, that's going to vote for this woman and her stolen valor vice president guy, Tim Walz. That's appalling that anyone can look at the economy, the border, law and order in America under 4 years of Donald Trump, and then turn around and look at it under the Biden-Harris administration and say that I want to keep what's been happening for the last 3.5 years? That's mental insanity to think that way. You're either a multi-millionaire, so none of this shit affects you, or you're uneducated when it comes to the two people. And you're uneducated about what really went down in 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency. We are literally right around the corner from this election. And the polls continue to show this, especially in the swing states, neck and neck. I want to believe that that's total bullshit. Just like in 2016, they made us believe that Hillary Clinton was up in the polls, beating Donald Trump in a landslide. And it was all a lie. And I really do believe that that's the same way now. And it's the drive-by news media. It's in the campaign, basically, extended arm of the campaign for Harris and Walz now. First it was Biden and Harris. And they're not going to stop. They're going to keep throwing out every misleading, every lie, every broken statistic, everything that's been proven already to be false. They're going to keep throwing it out there because their base are a bunch of freaking sheep and they're idiots and they do not know what's going on in reality. They just listen to MSNBC and believe it. They listen to the girls of The View and believe it. They listen to these far left liberal and Democrat YouTube channels and Rumble channels that are out there and X accounts and believe what they're telling them because they're too fucking dumb to actually pay attention to what the facts are. And listen, it goes for me too. If you think for one moment maybe I'm saying something that isn't correct, fact check me. Don't turn around and put out a video and say I'm a racist, I'm a no good son of a bitch, and make up lies about my military service or my law enforcement service or start attacking my family. No. Fact check what I'm putting out there. But you can't. You can't because you know you're wrong. To those that do that. There's a few, trust me, that walk around with nothing better to do because they know I'm right. I'm over the target. When people put together social media accounts and their only purpose in life for that account is to put out almost daily videos attacking you, you're over the target. And I'm going to keep being over the target, shitting on their heads as long as I possibly can. Anyhow, you had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. I appreciate that very, very much. In the description of this show and all my videos, all my live shows, you can see the other places you can follow me on social media. Follow me there. I'll do the same for you. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching me tonight, whether it's on YouTube or Rumble or X or LinkedIn. Follow me and I'll follow you back. That's how we do this. That's how we continue to spread the information, spread the news, let everybody know what the facts are and not the made-up spin of the Democrats and the liberals. I've got a lot going on in the next few weeks as we move up towards election night. I'll go ahead and give you a little quick insight of what's going to happen on election day or election night. If you've ever wanted to attend a Douglas Ducote party, well, you have your chance to do that via watching me on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, and on LinkedIn, because we're going to go live with this show probably starting around 5:30 that evening of the election. And I'm having a party here, an election party at my home. So there will be lots of people that will be here having a great time and cheering on the savior, hopefully, of our country. And they all know that they're invited to come sit in here. We're bringing some extra chairs. Anybody can come in here and voice their opinion and talk about what they think. So it's going to be interesting. There's alcohol involved, so I have no idea what's going to come out of some people's mouths. And it's not just all conservative and Republicans that are coming here. No, there are some people that are coming here that are my friends, that are Democrats. And a couple of them that are openly saying they just can't vote for Donald Trump. So, look, I can get along with anybody. Just don't personally attack me or personally attack my family. You cannot agree with my politics. You cannot agree with the things I report on. That's fine. And my friends that are Democrats, look, I used to be a Democrat, and they know that. And they don't do stupid shit. And so they're invited to my home. And hopefully, when the night's over with, Donald Trump will win, and they will leave here sad and depressed. And that's okay. All right? Or it's going to be the other way around. Either way, there's going to be some people that night that are going to be very, very unhappy. And some other people that will be elated that it worked out the way they wanted it to. All right, folks, if anything breaks between now and next Tuesday, I'll do a video about it or I'll go live. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. The weather down here in South Louisiana is going to be gorgeous tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. So my wife and I, we plan on taking the boat out and meeting up with some friends and having a good time on the water. I'll probably do some videos of that. I like sharing that, and I know a lot of people like seeing it. So we do some of that as well. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, a blessed weekend. Be safe. Remember, we're not out of the clear yet from anything. There's all kinds of bad things that have come across our border waiting to do hardcore bad things to us. And also remember, there's so many people that are still suffering right now from these last two hurricanes, and I'll be damned if there's not another one in the Atlantic. It looks like going to come into the Gulf probably by Saturday. We don't know yet what that's going to impact or affect. But those that were affected by these last two hurricanes, it's so horrible. It's just so devastating. In Florida, especially in western North Carolina, and Kentucky, parts of Tennessee, parts of Georgia, where people lost everything to include life, and entire families were just wiped off the face of the earth in a matter of seconds. And that's just, it's crazy. It's sad. As always, you had plenty of place you could be. You chose to be here. Thank you. Please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. And once again, as I told you on Tuesday night, and I'll mention it again, thank you all for the comments and all the emails that I've been receiving on social media about my father. He's improving. It's a day-by-day event, but he's doing a lot better today than he was yesterday, and so forth and so forth. So we're very optimistic that he's going to have a very full recovery. And I thank you and I thank God for all the blessings that have happened in our life and are continuing to happen. So thank you for all those that reached out about my daddy. Have a blessed night, everyone, and I'll see you soon.